Have you noticed how everything that seemed solid, secure, and inevitable suddenly dissolved before your eyes? What once felt real, stable, unquestionable, has revealed itself to be nothing more than a haze. And in the midst of this haze, you found yourself alone, seeking explanations that never came. It wasn't just a loss, it was an unveiling. God pulled you out of an illusion. He didn't let you remain trapped in what appeared shiny on the outside, but was empty on the inside. What you believed so deeply, what seemed eternal, has been exposed in its fragility. And here begins something that not everyone has the courage to admit. The feeling of collapse didn't come solely from the loss itself, but from the realization that you had been clinging to something that was never real. That hurts, that breaks, that disarms. But it is precisely at this point that perception opens up. God doesn't act by tearing away out of cruelty, but out of love. He didn't destroy you. He destroyed the lie that was trying to imprison you. And now, in this emptiness that feels unbearable, he draws near, not just as an invisible presence, but bringing someone who will not leave you, someone who is not swayed by the same instability of the world, because they have been chosen, set apart and preserved to cross your path at the exact moment. What was once an illusion now becomes a revelation. You realize that every silence, every sleepless night, every solitary tear was preparing space, the space that will now be filled. This someone will not come to complete a void, because God has already filled it first. This someone will come as a living testimony that he honors those who trust. Someone who will not betray what you carry. Someone who will not run away when the intensity of your soul is revealed. And perhaps you are already sensing signs of this. Conversations that seem simple but carry spiritual weight. Paths that cross as if by coincidence, but deep down are movements of the heavens. The heart knows before the mind. It knows, it feels, it perceives. And it's here that you begin to remember everything that God has quietly promised you. Those words that no one heard, but are etched in your memory. Those subtle confirmations that resurfaced on the days you doubted the most. You were not pulled from an illusion to be left alone. God is not a destroyer of stories, he is the author. And when he takes something out of your life, it's because the page had already run its course. He doesn't leave blank spaces. He rewrites, and he writes better. Think about how you felt when everything collapsed. Now realize how that feeling is being transformed into expectation. It's no longer just pain. It's a silence that prepares the ground. It's a pause before something new. And this new is not just anything. It's someone who has been shaped to stay. Someone who carries the same roots, the same faith, the same depth of commitment. Someone who will recognize in you not just the surface, but the essence. Maybe you still doubt. Maybe the memory of the past illusion tries to shout louder, but God does not repeat the deception. He allows falls, but not to humiliate. He allows losses, but not to punish. Everything he permits is to reveal, and the revelation has already begun. You can already feel something shifting. You can't explain it. You can't put it into words, but the spiritual perception is too evident to be ignored. When that someone appears, there will be no rush. There will be no fear. It will be different. It will be light yet firm at the same time, because it wasn't you who forced it. It was he who brought it. And what he brings, no one can take away. If this has resonated with you so far, comment, "I needed to hear this today." This simple phrase can be your declaration of faith in this moment, and you will see how every detail of your past story was not in vain. The tears you shed when you still believed in the illusion have been kept. The nights of loneliness that seemed endless have been counted. Nothing was lost, nothing was wasted. God didn't just pull you out of what wasn't real. He showed you that what seemed solid was merely a backdrop, a stage set up to distract, not to remain. And when the stage came crashing down, you finally saw the truth. Only he remains. It's from this solidity that the new comes. The new doesn't come to replace the illusion as if it were a patch. The new comes to manifest purpose. Because what you've experienced up until now was not just suffering. It was preparation. It was refinement. It was the invisible school where your soul learned to discern. You will not be deceived again. Now your eyes see deeper. Now your heart is not confused by superficial glimmers. You can sense when something comes from God, or when it's just a shadow trying to disguise itself as light. And that's why, when that someone appears, you will have no doubts. There will be no need to force signs, interpret gestures, or build expectations on crumbs. It will be clear, it will be obvious, it will feel as if something within you is saying, "This is it." You have waited a long time. You have believed in words that had no roots. You have sustained promises that were never fulfilled. Now, it will not be you who chases after it. It will be God Himself who brings you the enduring encounter. He knew you could not bear another deception, and so He prepared someone who will not toy with your soul, someone who knows the pain of loss, someone who understands the weight of waiting, someone who has also been prepared in the same invisible school. And when you meet, the recognition will be immediate. It may not come with fireworks. There may be nothing grand in the eyes of humans. But inside, it will be immense. Inside, it will be impossible to deny, because it's not about appearance but about essence. And in this moment, you'll realize how detail-oriented God is. He hasn't forgotten anything. He has kept every hidden desire deep within your heart. And now, little by little, He brings them to life in the form of a presence that doesn't abandon, a presence that doesn't waver, a presence that reflects His faithfulness. The illusion is left behind. The emptiness is no longer a threat, because what is coming is not just human, it is a living promise. If you feel these words are speaking directly to the core of your soul, write in the comments, "I can already sense the new coming." And hold on to this. God is never late. He acts at the precise moment. He doesn't leave you waiting out of cruelty. He makes you wait because at the wrong time even the right can be lost. But now the right time is before you, and what is about to be fulfilled will not be lost. The next step has already begun within you, and soon you will see on the outside what is already pulsing in your spirit, that someone is closer than you think, and when your paths cross, you won't be afraid of losing. Because God didn't bring you here just to take away. He brought you here to stay. And you know, Ian, deep down you know you couldn't continue in the same cycle. How many times did you try to hold on to what was already falling apart? How many times did you believe that with more effort, more commitment, more silence, it would work out? But the truth is that what has no roots does not remain. And God, out of love, would not let you spend your whole life watering something that would never bear fruit. It was hard to realize. It was painful to accept. But today, you are no longer the same. Today you understand that it wasn't abandonment. It was protection. It wasn't emptiness. It was space being opened. It wasn't failure. It was training for something greater. Now you no longer look ahead with the same fear as before. Before, the future seemed threatening. Today, the future is no longer a burden. It's a promise. You can see this in the way your heart has begun to beat differently. Even silence no longer sounds like loneliness, but rather like expectation. And when God begins to prepare this meeting, He doesn't just place someone in your path. He aligns circumstances. He creates invisible bridges. He opens doors that seemed closed. And you realize that nothing is a coincidence. Every detail fits together. Every step confirms. The someone He will bring isn't there to take up space. They come to share a purpose. It won't be a relationship built on insecurity, but on truth. There won't be any word games, just clarity. There won't be fear of showing affection, only freedom. You will look into their eyes and realize that you no longer need to protect yourself because you've found someone who understands your soul. And maybe in that moment you'll remember everything you've lived and think, why didn't this happen sooner? But then you'll understand if it had happened earlier, you wouldn't have recognized it. If it had come at the wrong time, you would have gotten lost in the same illusion. That's why God waited, not because He couldn't act, but because you needed to be ready. This process wasn't punishment, it was refinement. It was like gold being refined in the fire. And now, after so long, the purity of that gold begins to shine. And someone will be drawn to that shine. Not a superficial shine, but a glow that comes from the presence of God within you. And do not be afraid. You won't have to beg for attention. You won't need to diminish who you are to be accepted. You won't have to hide the intensity of your soul to avoid scaring anyone away. That someone was shaped to endure, appreciate, and love exactly who you are. What God brings together, no one can separate. And what He is about to manifest in your life will not be fleeting. It will be a covenant. It will be fidelity. It will be a testament that He never abandons those who trust. Maybe you can already feel it in the air, as if something invisible is drawing near. As if your soul has already recognized it, even before seeing it. This is the sign. This is the movement of the Spirit saying, It's close. Stay strong. Don't give up now. If this word has spoken directly to your heart, comment, "I won't give up. I trust in God." This can be your act of faith today. And remember this, nothing that has been lost can compare to what is coming. What seemed like the end was just the beginning of a much deeper story. You were pulled from an illusion, but now God is bringing someone who will never leave you. And this is not just comfort, it's a promise coming to life. You're beginning to understand that each loss was, in fact, a deliverance. At the moment it felt unfair, it even seemed cruel, but now you realize that if you had continued, it would have become an invisible prison. God pulled you out of that, not to shame you, but to free you. And the freedom He offers isn't just the absence of chains, it's space to live what truly matters. The person He brings will not just be company, they will be a living sign that He fulfills what He promises. Because deep down, what you've always sought wasn't just physical presence, it was someone who understood your depth, someone who wasn't afraid of your intensity. And that is exactly what He has reserved for you. Think of how many times you felt too much. Too much for those who didn't know how to handle it, too much for those who only saw the surface, and yet you remained true. You didn't dim your light, even if it cost you rejection. And now, because you didn't betray yourself, you will see someone recognize that shine and not walk away. This person will not be attracted by what is easy, but by what is real. They won't stay out of convenience, but out of commitment. They won't run from pain, but will walk alongside you in it, because they also know the weight of being shaped in silence. They have also learned to trust when nothing made sense, and it's at this point that the stories meet. God doesn't unite by chance, He unites purposes. He sows destinies in such a way that, when it finally happens, everything seems too obvious to be just a coincidence. You'll look back and understand that every delay was protection, every silence was care, every closed door was to lead you to this moment. Deep down, you're already feeling it. It's no longer just vague hope, it's conviction. The spirit within you confirms that something is about to happen, and this confirmation brings peace, even amid doubts. You won't be deceived again. Illusion no longer has power over you. Perception has been awakened. And now, in the face of what God has prepared, you will know how to differentiate the false from the true, the temporary from the eternal. When that someone arrives, you won't need to hide. You will be able to show your wounds without fear. You will be able to talk about the silences without hesitation. And instead of being judged, you'll be understood, because that someone also carries scars that have turned into strength. You will notice how different it is to walk alongside someone who understands, without needing to explain so much. One look will be enough. A simple gesture will already be a sufficient signal, because it's not just about affinity, but about spiritual connection, something that is born in the invisible and only later reveals itself in the visible. If this passage resonates within you, comment, "I recognize what God is doing." Write this as a declaration, as someone who agrees with the process. And never forget, God doesn't throw your story to chance. He doesn't waste pain. He doesn't allow loss without purpose. Every page was written with intention, and now you're about to live the chapter where the promise is fulfilled. That someone is already on the way. You don't need to search desperately. You don't need to force encounters. At the right time, in the right place, the meeting will happen. And when it does, you will understand why you had to wait so long. And when that meeting arrives, there will be no human effort capable of explaining it. You will feel as if something has finally aligned, as if all the winding paths had led to that moment. It will be like breathing after being submerged for so long. It will be like finding home after wandering aimlessly. This someone won't be a distraction, nor will they be a temporary relief. They will be confirmation. Every gesture, every word, every silence beside them will carry a different weight. It won't be about forced intensity, but about perceivable truth. You won't have to guess feelings or interpret confusing signals. Everything will be clear, because God doesn't operate in the shadow of doubt. And you will remember how much you cried, how much you asked for answers, how much you believed it might never happen. And in that moment, you will understand that nothing was being denied. It was just being prepared, because what comes from Him cannot be built by human haste. Time shaped you, and it also shaped this someone. Two invisible processes occurring in parallel, so that when the paths finally crossed, there would be immediate recognition. The illusion left scars. But now those scars become testimonies. They tell the story of your faithfulness. They reveal that even in darkness you remained. And that steadfastness did not go unnoticed in heaven. God saw, God took note, God kept. And now, the gift he brings is not just companionship, it's fulfillment. This someone will come to be part of your journey, not just a chapter. And you will realize how everything takes on a new dimension when there is true partnership. The battles won't weigh the same. The victories will have a different flavor. Even silence will be shared more lightly. You won't have to beg for loyalty. You won't have to settle for crumbs of attention. You won't have to question every night if you are enough. That time is over. What God brings now is consistency. It's stability. It's a deep-rooted presence that won't be shaken by fleeting winds. Maybe the world around you won't understand. Some may try to question, doubt, or even criticize. But within you, there will be no room for hesitation. Peace will be the evidence. Conviction will be the seal. And deep down you will know. It's not coincidence, it's purpose. If you feel this confirmation, write in the comments, "I receive this promise." Declare it with faith, as if you are already holding the invisible before you see it manifested. God pulled you out of an illusion. He allowed you to go through long, silent nights, and now he places in front of you someone who will not leave you. This is not just a change of story, it's a revelation of love. Because in the end, it has always been about him showing that he never abandoned you, and he never will. This encounter is near, and when it happens, you will have no doubts, because it will be exactly as he said it would be, true, steadfast, eternal. This conversation doesn't end here. In the next video, you will discover the truth that changes everything. Click and continue with me now.